stoppa er bara så länge ni hoppar ut säkert. Sitt ner under hela. Before we start, we're just gonna go through some safety rules. Arms, legs, and any limbs you want to keep after the tour stays within the boat, please. We're gonna go also through some bridges, and it's important to know you might injure yourself. Life jackets, if in case of an emergency, you find underneath the chairs. If you stand up and tilt them forward, that's gonna open a compartment. There's ever an emergency. Math tells me there's 360 angles around this boat. So here at Paddan we have a special offer of having 360 emergency exits in your free of choice. And with that, please just sit down the entire ride and enjoy. He wanted this to be a fortress that protected us from our lovely neighbors, the Norwegians and Danes. And to show the love, he built 7-meter tall walls all around the city, because that's love. A couple centuries later, we tore down the walls, creating this street, and the street next to us called the Grand Street. They started building from both sides of the wall, and if you look right now to the left is an interesting number on this specific building, because in all good Swedish engineering we had a predetermined street numbers, but suddenly an extra building just popped up. You know, Swedish efficiency. So we needed to name it. So here we can see 17 and a half, the only half street number in the entirety of Sweden. It's beautiful happening on the other. Right now it was only dirt, but in 1848 we started the Garden Society. The Garden Society is drawn from Victorian architecture and design, and it's actually one of the best preserved 19th century parks we have today in Europe. Here in the Garden Society, it's free to the public, and you can find over 1,200 different rose species, including a palm greenhouse that we might be able to spot through the trees. But the rich being soon, the people being soon quite bored about this park, wanted something else to do. And you see it, this brown house adjacent. It actually once belonged to the Garden Society, acting as an exotic seed trade. This house was one of the first places where you could buy exotic seeds. Today we renovated it over to become a little playground for our beloved fairy tale character Alfred Atkins. But don't you worry, the original usage for these seeds is actually seen in the wall, as we kept the original drawers where the seeds would have been stored. Right next to it, very difficult without the walls to exist anymore. But the Queen's Gate was one of the two gates entering and exiting the city. The other one being the King's Gate. The King's Gate being actually where we boarded the King's Gate place open for Claxon until Yiddish. Now we've entered the Well Park. The Well Park here, or Brunsbacken in Swedish, is the heart and soul of all the Gothenburg trams. As you notice, there's these big blue and white boxes of metal going through the city. The trams actually have been here for over 200 years. Starting 1800s, we had wagons pulled by horses, like all natural things are. But in the early 1900s, we switched to electricity, something that remains until today. Så nu har vi kommit ut i Brunnsparken. Här kan vi hitta Nordstans största köpcenter i hela Göteborg. Men du kan också hitta våra fantastiska spårvagnar som vi ser till höger. Här är spårvagnar vi har haft i Göteborg i över 200 år. På 1800-talet så drog de hästar, men tidigt 1900-tal så började de drivas av elektricitet. De äldre spårvagnarna, Göteborgsspårvagnarna. So we'll have to do it now. I can't stand sadly on the deck, but to our right we have sadly just a little bit covered by the bus, a statue of the King Gustav II Adolf, who grounded this city. The statue is allegedly showing how he would have been when he pointed down to the place that would have been Gothenburg and said, "Here shall the city be." The statue references this by pointing down to the original blueprints that would have been in 1600s. An interesting comparison if you check with a modern map today. Vi ser den höger estiska kyrkan och den gavs av spices. Today it's the Gothenburg Museum. Just nu till höger så kan du hitta Göteborgs museum med den gamla Ostindiska kompaniets dörrar under 70 King, this time though only the Potato King. His name is Jonas Ahlström and he claimed that he was the first to bring the potato here to Sweden. It's sadly a myth, but he stubbornly refused to let go of the title. So even today he's known as the Potato King. A little bit further down the street, you can see a beige building with a blue flag on top. It's actually the royal residency. It's here the royal family spends their days while visiting Gothenburg. And you can see this actually when there's a Swedish flag raised, like it is today. It's not a blue flag, it's a Swedish flag, sure, but it can also be because of the Queen Victoria, the Crown Princess Victoria's birthday as well. There was a cheese slice top of that bridge, and the bridge itself has been nicknamed the cheese slicer. And that's because, dear lovely folks, if you did not listen to the guide and did not duck in time, your head would simply get cheese sliced, especially during high tide. Funny little jokes, but not as funny if you're actually managed to hit your head in the bridge. She was part of the Swedish Navy, and she was one of the first ships to ever build robot missiles. The missiles, although smaller, were actually real until 2001, when an American president came to visit. There was an issue of safety issued out, and sadly, overnight, suddenly our missiles turned into plastic, which have remained until today. Ship, or school ship, I should call it, the bark Viking. The bark Viking taught new sailors how to navigate the seas, and it's actually been all the way to Australia. A trip that took 7 years allegedly, not once but twice. In the 50s, Gothenburg City found this beautiful ship, and today it sits here in the harbor after it's been restored, and it sits here as a hotel and a restaurant. Just nu kollar vi i Malmö faktiskt. Kolla som ett här, så har vi 2 våningar, och det ryktas faktiskt redan att den högsta våningen har köpts för 66 miljoner kronor. 6,6 miljoner euro. Ungefär vad man kan spendera på en hel i Stockholm. Right now we're passing by the Stena line terminal. This Stena line being one of the first ever privately owned. Men förhoppningsvis öppnar de snart. So to the left we have a big pointed building. It's called the Fish Church or Fiskekyrkan. It was the upgrade from the outdoor fish trade, and currently it's down for renovation.
There is castle in
the only thing you need to keep in mind if it ever opens is, of course, the fishing prices. But as well as it being a church, we have a religion as well, and it is to put your faith in God.